Hello, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, or welcome if you're new. We're looking at the top 10 exercises that will help you change the look of your hips. It'll take your hips from looking squarish, flat, just no dimension, into something like this where you'll have some shape to it, some type of curvature. It'll poke out and it'll stand out in dresses, tight clothes, and etc, etc. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the hip area consists of muscles like the gluteus medius, minimus, and the maximus. And if you're looking for an in-depth look on the anatomy of wider hips and how that all breaks down, you can check out this video right here. I go super deep into it and all the sciencey stuff and whatnot. But in summation, the gluteus medius, minimus, and maximus, along with some other accessory muscles as well that are along the sides of your glutes, lend to the look of wider hips. A warm-up is important, and I do have a video right here, linked up here again. It is a warm-up that's specifically good for activating your side glutes as well, getting the gluteus medius, minimus, and maximus activated, get some good blood flow in there, get a pump going before you get into your exercises, because this will allow you to feel the exercises more. I'll be splitting these exercises into compound and isolation movements, and as a shorthand definition of them, isolation exercises, they target a single and specific muscle group and use less joints to move. So for instance, the gluteus medius, that is the main muscle that is worked in a cable kickback. On the other hand, compound movements require multiple muscle groups to perform the movement and use multiple joints to move. So for instance, a squat has a lot of things going on with it. You are using your hip muscles, you're also using your knees as well, and even your ankles are starting to move. And the main muscles that are used are the glutes and the quads. Let's look specifically at some isolation exercises. Each of these exercises can be done 2 to 3 times per week with 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps each. And you can use a light to moderate weight for these movements. If you're just starting out, body weight is going to be plenty enough too. Because these are muscles that don't often get specific attention, you're not going to need a lot of weight for these muscles. The first exercise we're getting into are side leg raises. And for this exercise, using a body weight level is going to be a very, very good start. Focusing on form is going to be the most important thing for this exercise. And next will be clamshells. And this exercise has had a lot of hype around it. Super beginner, I'd say body weight, but most times, most people will need a band for this exercise. And a band is especially going to be needed for practicing progressive overload, which is getting more and more difficult as the weeks go by. I do recommend getting like a pack of bands from Amazon. They don't cost too much, but it also depends on the type you get too. There are the rubbery ones that are more flimsy, and then there's the cloth ones, which I prefer the cloth ones because they're super durable, and I find that they don't slip as easy as the rubbery ones, but there's less exercises that I can do with that versus the rubbery type of ones, because the rubbery ones can go on your ankles as well, but using the cloth ones on your ankles is like overkill, and they don't have that much stretch or range to them. But for the most part, for what you'll need, the cloth bands I think are superior. Next are fire hydrants, and these are excellent for getting the gluteus medius as well. Body weight can do a lot for this exercise as well. You can progress this by using a resistance band, but you can also use ankle weights as well. Next are lateral band walks, which burn so good. These are fantastic for hip stability. They challenge the side-to-side movement of your hips. And for these, if you are super beginner, then of course body weight I will recommend. But if you need some added challenge, this is where the band is going to be super helpful as well. Maybe starting out with a light band if you are super beginner, or if you have a little bit of strength to your hips already, then you can go in with the medium as well. Next is the standing abductions with a plate. And this exercise is super great in the sense that if you don't have the abduction machine available, then the standing abduction with the plate can be a very good substitute. Depending on where you are in your journey, this exercise exercise can do a lot with a little bit of weight. So when I first started out doing this exercise, I only used like a 25-pound plate. And it was really intense doing it with this weight. But now as I am progressing and I need a 35 plate and a 45 plate, then it gets a little harder to hold up the plate and to complete the movement without the plate going everywhere. But nevertheless, the movement itself is very easy to set up. You just need a plate and you just need to lean on something. So you could do this against a wall or a pole or something. Very flexible exercise, very effective as well. And again, if you want to check out the specifics of the muscles that are targeted, definitely check out the anatomy of wider hips video. And then lastly, for the isolation exercises is the cable hip abductions. And this one, definitely you need a light to moderate weight. It's a very humbling exercise. You'll find that even 5 pounds can be pretty intense because it's just not a trained movement pattern in general. And it's such a small muscle to begin with. You don't need to add a lot of weight for it to, have a pump to it. Alrighty, and now the compound movements. You want to do these 2 to 3 times a week with 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps each. This is where you're going to challenge more of the strength and the muscle growth signal versus the higher reps or the lower reps. Lower would challenge more strength. Even higher would challenge more endurance. So this is kind of like a sweet spot where you want to work around. So like progressing from 8 reps to 12 reps. And then when you're at 12 reps, increase the weight and that might shoot you back down to 8. It's going to be an ever fluctuating type of range for you to work with, and as well as sets. In this as well, for these exercises, you want to use moderate to heavy weights. So really challenge yourself. You could even get away with only using 2 sets. But keep in mind that maybe the first or second week you're working in those 2 sets and you're going to be working towards getting to 3 to 4 sets in the exercise that you are doing that in. So for instance, the first exercise we're going to get into is hip thrusts. So with hip thrusts, the way that my current cycle is going, I started out with only 2 sets of 6 reps. But I used a really heavy weight. So I'm using 245 plates on each side, whatever the math for that is. Boop. Right there. So this is to make sure that I am challenging both heavy weights with shorter amount of rep numbers as well as the higher reps with the other exercises. So this just gives me a good balance. As I'm going through the weeks now, I've been able to get into 8 reps and 10 reps still in the 2 sets. But now what I want to do, now that I am progressing to getting to the 12 sets, eventually I'm going to have to increase the weight, or I could just drop the weight and then add 1 more set to be able to get that intensity that the 2 sets was doing. So kind of playing it around. So hip thrusts are a powerhouse exercise for the glutes for sure. You can use body weight all the way up to a heavy weight for this exercise. You can use a weighted barbell or dumbbell, or you can use a hip thrust machine if your gym does provide those. I personally use Crunch. So Crunch is going to have all the good stuff when it comes to hip thrust machines. Hip thrusts generate significantly greater gluteus maximus activation compared to other common glute exercises like squats and deadlifts. Next exercise is going to be sumo squats. So sumo squats, they target the inner thighs and the glute, but they also get the gluteus medius depending on how you do the exercise or kind of like the range that you work in. So I'm going to put a slash on this: sumo squats / box squats. Okay, so box squats, that particular range really helps with that gluteus medius area because of the range and the point at which you stop and you're challenging. That pause right there where your knees are at a 90-degree angle. So as if you were sitting on something like a box, like a plyometric box, or interestingly tall bench or something like that. That pause there is going to challenge the isometric strength of your glutes. So with that in mind, adding the sumo squat movement to that / making that a box squat type of movement really helps. You could use a barbell for this as well as dumbbells. And I would suggest starting out body weight just so that you can have that mind to muscle connection and know how to engage those muscles before you start adding weight to that. Step ups are another really great exercise that challenge the stability of your smaller muscles, the gluteus medius. Oh gosh, guys, the battery died. Where was I? A really good stabilizer, challenging exercise where it gets the gluteus medius and minimus as well as the maximus. And unilateral exercises like step-ups and Bulgarian split squats, which we'll get into, do a very good job of evening out muscle imbalances and giving some more intensity and challenge to the exercises that you are doing because you are now doing it with one leg. The mind to muscle connection for these exercises is going to be key and, dare I say, essential for you to be able to see progress in them. So I highly recommend exercises like this. You start out body weight or very light so that you're able to get the footing right, get the angle right, get the form right, and start to make those connections from your brain through your nervous system to the right muscles so that at the end of the day, you're going to feel the pump in the right place. So my favorite single-legged exercise right now is Bulgarian split squats because of how many things it handles, the ease of setup, and how good my glutes feel after. Like, the pump is great. And my whole journey with Bulgarian split squats all started with body weight movements. I took a step back and worked on rewiring my brain to muscle connection and getting the right muscles to fire when doing Bulgarian split squats. Practicing the form is important because this is an exercise where you can easily have it quad dominant and only feel it in your quads and not your glutes at all. You don't want that. Having your body positioned properly, where you're slightly leaned forward so that it's more of a squat-like movement or you're sitting on a chair. That's going to be so important versus you being a bit more upright and going up and down. That'll get more quads. That's not what you want. Having your foot up too high, your back foot, that can also lend to you feeling it more in your quads and knees versus in your glutes. So be careful of that too. Just start out body weight. Body weight is already gonna murder you anyway. So don't even think too hard about adding weight to this exercise. Do it a bunch of times and you're going to see the development. You're gonna feel the pump and you're gonna feel stronger as well. So after your workout, you can give yourself a little cool down. Me personally, I just walk. That's the best way I can do it. Gets blood flow to the legs and super easy and simple to do. This is the best time for you to do static stretches. You don't want to do them before, you want to do them after, because overstretching your muscles before any movements can prevent that tightness you need to help secure your joints so that you don't overstretch and overstrain yourself. That little bit of tightness is needed. But after the fact, when you're good to go and you want to feel all limber, go for it. Static stretch all day. Extra tips to get the most out of your hip widening exercises. So first and foremost, consistency is key. I'm sure you've heard that a million times, but it's true. If you fall off the bandwagon and try to get back on, especially for a long time, you're not going to see the results that you want. Your body needs routine. It needs consistency. It needs you to always be there for it. Also, I touched upon this before, gradually increase the weight. So this is called progressive overload. So this is where you're continuing to challenge your muscles over a period of time. So if you're doing a 12-week plan, during that 12 weeks, you may start out at body weight, but at the end, you better end up with some type of weight. And of course, do not forget about recovery. Recovery is important. If you give your muscles time to heal and grow, that will benefit you well, but don't be stagnant about it, because blood flow to your legs is going to help with the healing process as well as the growth process. I've made the mistake of leaving out cardio completely from my rest days and even after my workouts, and I didn't get great results. I got more volume in my body by adding cardio. So you could try walking. Personally, I love incline walking. I was never a treadmill person until I discovered incline walking, and now I'm obsessed with it. The pump after I finish incline walking feels really good. That's where I was talking about the blood flow to your legs being important and all that. It just feels like it's throbbing. It's kind of weird, but I like it. You could also do the bike machine. You could also do the elliptical, some light jogging, even dancing too. I do some dance routines after work if I don't feel like leaving the house on an active day, or if it's raining or something. It's just super easy to do inside. And yoga is probably going to be top tier because yoga helps with flexibility as well as a little bit of conditioning, because it can get kind of kind of tough, but if you are someone that's into yoga or want to try yoga or want to incorporate yoga into your routine, this is the sign. It will help your glute growth. And don't forget, a balanced diet and adequate hydration play a huge role in your progress too. So go ahead and screenshot this workout routine right here. And this uses some of the exercises that we mentioned today and kind of gets you started on the path of getting those mind to muscle connection paths going and some type of base so that you can get a bit stronger and start to see some shape come in. If you're new here, please subscribe. We talk side glutes often on this channel, so more to come for sure. Definitely want to grow the tribe. If you need some more help, don't forget to check out the video that is sitting on my face right now. Till next time, see ya. Bye.